Greetings, friends. Welcome back to DEGREELESSNESS, the Shanghai Pete broadcast. It's a crisp late summer evening here in the City of Angels, and we are live and alive. I suspect I may be the only person breathing who's not playing Black Myth Wukong, but honestly, I spend most of the weekdays yelling as it is. The last thing I want to do when I get off work is yell more, but at my TV. I wish I could play these type of games, but I just suck too badly at them to be able to enjoy myself. Besides, Visions of Mana just dropped, and since Secret of Mana is my favorite game of all time, and I love JRPGs, I am obligated to play it. So far I'm loving it, let's hope that keeps up. Additionally, since I did not spend the week cursing my pathetic skills at Souls-likes and drop-kicking my PS5 controller across the loft, I actually had plenty of time to work on the show. And a good thing too, because, ladies and gents, fair warning, we have quite a bit of hating, sophomoric sarcasm, and just poor behavior to direct at the gaming industry tonight. I love the gaming industry, don't you? Sadly, it and I just will not allow anyone to forget it's now largely a place where talent and genuine human creativity go to be torn apart before being resold as a Call of Duty game by machines powered by the blood of poor people. Nothing like the smell of industrialized human sacrifice and the rotting viscera of murdered ideas and broken dreams in the morning, huh? You know what they say, if you want Assassin's Creed 14, you gotta kill lots of poor people? I mean, whatever, most of them probably didn't have families anyway. After all, economos hungers, so we better hurry up and get deep inside before the corpos making Call of Duty 7 decide that we're looking a little too poor. Yikes, that got a little dark. Anyways, onwards. Just time for a quick recap of the week, which requires at least a brief mention and tip of the proverbial hat to Black Myth Wukong. Holy goddamn balls, everyone really loves this game. Everyone except me, that is. I like to imagine that if I could play it with any semblance of competency, that I would also like it. But since I'm an old millennial with a hair-trigger temper and a biological inability to demonstrate patience in any capacity, it's likely we will never know. Yes, I know I'll never be a successful alpha male content creator if I can't impress all the females by punching lots of holes in my drywall when I get mad, but that is my burden to bear. Also this week, Ubisoft released their newest $70 reminder that Star Wars and ray tracing still suck. I think I like this better than when they actually try to make games. That way we can just skip all the hype, speculation, and inevitable disappointment and move right to the pointing and laughing. Star Wars Outlaws, you poor bastard. At this point, Disney has gutted just about all the value from the abused husk that was once Star Wars, and I'm just being honest, it's gonna take a dev a hell of a lot more talented than fucking Ubisoft to scrape together something worthwhile from it. Dark Forces, TIE Fighter, Super Empire Strikes Back, KOTOR, even Republic Commando, you gotta be ashamed of yourself, Ubisoft, for even having the gall to dream of being on that level.
You just can't climb in the ring with all the eight because you think you box.
Next up, Valve is Valving again, I regret to inform you. So artisan, so cultured, much trend, wow. One of the most renowned, beloved, enigmatic, successful, and out-of-the-box game developers in the history of the industry has made the shocking move of actually putting out a new video game called Deadlock. And everyone loves it, of course. But I don't. I'm sorry everyone, but I refuse to get excited about another multiplayer garbage pile. You know what? Actually, fuck it. I'm saying it. I hate Valve. Fuck Gabe, fuck Steam, and fuck Half-Life 3. Everything that they do feels like it's specifically crafted to piss off their fans, and me especially. Oh, Half-Life 2 is amazing. What type of game will we get next? No game. Instead, we're going to help give birth to the modern gaming economic hellscape by structuring, popularizing, and monetizing the digital storefront. Okay. Well, we know everyone's dying for a Half-Life 3 or a new Half-Life game. Makes a VR Half-Life game that's a prequel. Fans desperate for a new Portal game? Make a card game that immediately flops. People asking for a new Team Fortress game? Dota again. This time it's a shooter, just like all those other online-only shooters. God damn it. Okay. Alright, I'm sorry, Valve. I take it back. I was frustrated, I spoke too quickly. That's my fault. I don't hate you, but god damn it, you do piss me off sometimes. I hope Deadlock is great and everybody likes it, but could you maybe just put out one game, like, for everybody? You know, you're starting to become Nintendo, where you keep kind of getting away with it because everything, or most of everything you put out is pretty good, but none of it is what anybody wants. Can we correct this course before you go too far down the Nintendo path? Jesus Christ. Anyway, lastly this week, looks like Sony has stepped in it once again. Remember Concord, the copy pasta hero shooter that we said would be absolutely terrible? Well, you'll never believe this, but it's absolutely terrible. I know, I'm shocked too. Barely selling 25k copies, players can't find matches, user reviews sitting at 1.8 on Metacritic. Y'all killed Japan Studio for this? Yikes, guys. If only someone could have pointed out what a bad idea a low-rent Overwatch clone 8 years too late was. Oh, right, everyone did! One of the worst AAA launches of all time. Excellent work, Sony. You guys just keep innovating. Wow. Moving on, for our main story tonight, the Remake Show is going to do another remake show about game remakes and games being remade. Last week it was Silent Hill 2, and since that was such an abject disaster, I thought it'd be fun to bookend that story with some actual good news about the MGS3 remake. Yep, you heard that right, or rather what we're being told is good news. Who knows how much of it will actually come to pass, but I can tell you this. In my opinion, when a remake is being discussed, this is what I want. Maybe not you, maybe not everybody, but it's what I want. So let's read the article and break it down. This comes to us from the illustrious PC Gamer, one of the few websites left that I would actually put even the tiniest bit of stock in anything they say. It was published just a couple days ago, and I didn't see anybody covering it. Maybe the news cycle's still too much on the Silent Hill 2 remake. I don't know. But considering this actually has good news in it, I was surprised to see no one really talking about it. So I figured, let's put an end to that and let's talk about it today. Titled, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is exactly what fans want. Oh, really? A fanatically faithful remake that doesn't leave a hair out of place. Well, actually, yes. That is what I want. So let's see what the fuck they're saying. Metal Gear Solid Delta is Metal Gear Solid 3. What a revelation, you're thinking. I can't believe this remake is a lot like the game it's remaking. Well, I mean, this doesn't necessarily have to be true, as this guy actually points out. But no, really, listen to me. Delta isn't MGS3 the way that the Silent Hill 2 remake is Silent Hill 2, or the way the FF7 remake is FF7. Well, thank fucking God for that. How is it that it's only here and right now that we're finally hearing someone say that? Thank God. Having spent an hour and a half with it, I can say this thing is a shot-for-shot, not a hair out of place recreation of the original PS2 masterpiece that I regard as one of the greatest video games ever made. Konami seems to have taken zero liberties with the classic. And with that, we can all breathe a collective sigh of relief. Thank fucking God. Finally, miraculously, someone seems to have picked up on the idea that, hey, when you remake a game, we don't actually want you to fuck with it. Just remake it. And it seems like that's all they're doing here. Oh my God. I mean, again, we're far too jaded to get to actually be openly joyful about something. But I mean, so far, it's this is what I want to hear. All right. Close your eyes and imagine MGS3 in scintillating Unreal Engine 5, and you're 95% of the way to experiencing what I saw in the hands-on demo. Good. Aside from a dusting of mechanics from MGS5 and a couple of quality of life features, this is the game as it was in a sparkly new package. With Hideo Kojima long since absconded from Konami? Is that really the best way to put it? Maybe run out, I think might be a better way to say it, but okay. And trust in the company in short supply, well, that's an understatement. I think that's exactly what fans are looking for, even if I have a few philosophical questions about the value of a remake that hews so single-mindedly to the original. No. No questions, no philosophical whatever. If you're remaking a classic game, your job, at least, again, this is just my opinion, my philosophy on this stuff. If you're remaking a classic game, just upscale it so we can play it on modern systems, maybe make it look a little better. Anything beyond that, I don't trust anyone except the original devs to do. So if you're not one of those guys, leave it alone. Anyway, the article continues. My demo consisted of the entire Virtuous mission. That's pretty good. MGS3's prologue that sets up the stakes for the story to come, introducing us to characters like Naked Snake, the boss, Ocelot, and Vol'jin. It is, I'm going to have to find lots of different ways to say this throughout the preview, exactly as you remember it. Good, find all the ways that you want to say it, keep telling it to me, oh yes, cover me in it, that's what I want to hear. Except, of course, that it all looks a lot nicer. Totally fine. Konami's taken advantage of the last 2 decades of technological progress to make MGS Delta look sharp as hell in Unreal Engine 5. Good. The foliage is luscious. Okay. The jungle feels hot, looming, and oppressive. Very good. And all those characters now have detailed faces and expressions to go along with their voice acting, which is taken directly from the original game. No re-recordings here. Again, thank God. So far, this is all the kind of stuff that you want to hear when someone's talking about a remake. You want to hear all the ways that it is similar and exactly like the original. Not all the ways that they've redone the story to add in flying trash bags called whispers and add in some timey-wimey alternate dimension nonsense. No, what we want to hear is all the ways that it is exactly the same. Thank you. There's no denying that it looks great. Konami and Virtuos have done Virtuos, I guess that's the team that's doing it, have done an excellent job translating the feel of the original game to a slick modern package, so much so that I didn't even miss the yellowy piss filter that was a trademark of OG MGS3, and which Konami says will be an option in the remake's full release. See, that's what I'm fucking talking about right there. I agree that the yellowy piss filter was not great, and the fact that it's gone, probably okay, but you know what? Just give me an option to fucking toggle it. Maybe I want the piss filter. Some people want the piss filter. Give us an option to toggle it. Sounds like they are. That's great. There was something a little odd about hearing those voices come from characters so exhaustively detailed, though. To be honest, it could just be that I'm much too used to the original game, but I felt something of an uncanny valley effect from hearing David Hayter and Josh Keaton's over-the-top anime-style voice acting come from models that otherwise look so naturalistic and human. It's a very minor qualm with what was otherwise an impressive polish job, though, and I suspect I'd settle into it over the course of the longer playthrough. Yeah, shut the fuck up. That's fine. I'm not worried about that at all. The outline of the Virtuous mission is, say it with me, just as you remember it. Good, good, good. Again, keep bringing that shit, keep bringing that energy. That's what I want to hear. I will never get tired of any remake preview telling me just how exactly as I remember it a remake is. Snake's being dispatched to sneak through the jungle and secure a defecting Soviet scientist named Sokolov. He's undertaking the world's first Halo jump to do it. Some guy on the plane calls him a panty-waist in a turn of phrase no human has used before or since, and so on. I'm almost certain that the historical archive footage, video of Nikola Khrushchev and the like used to illustrate the game's 60s Cold War context is exactly the same that was used back in the day. Even the R1 prompts, those opportunities to switch perspective mid-cutscene to see exactly what Snake is looking at, are all where they were on the PS2. Again, awesome, good. After about 15 minutes of cutscenes and codec calls, oh yes, this is still Metal Gear, yes. I was in. Snake's gear is caught in a tree. I had to do a movement tutorial on the way over to get it. The area, like every area I moved through the demo, is a recreation of its original counterpart. Konami hasn't transitioned MGS Delta to an MGS5 open-style world. I was still moving through areas, Dramuchi South, Dramuchi Swampland, Dolan Novodno, Razvet, separated by loading screens. Items like the SVD Sniper, XM16E1, Assault Rifle, and M37 Shotgun were exactly where I remembered them, as were the enemies in their patrol routes. God, that's fucking awesome. Compare that to the way they were describing the Silent Hill 2 remake, and I think you'll see why I'm suddenly a lot more pleased about this. The only difference I could identify was the addition of a new collectible alongside the game's Karatan frogs. Man, I spent so long trying to get those fucking frogs when I was a kid. Do you guys? Dude, remember the one where you had to get it, like, I think you're on the bike being chased by the Shagohod and you have to snipe one of those fucking frogs from the background? Man, I spent so long trying to do that. Anyway, there are little orange Gakko ducks I could shoot, also presumably unlock items later on down the line. That sounds fine to me, I don't have a problem with that. It makes me wonder just a tad what a version of Delta that took more creative liberties would look like. Nope, not me. I'm not wondering that, I don't want to know. If you're gonna do that, just make a new game. Just make a new fucking game. You don't need to destroy something that is already great on its own in order to play around like that. Just make a new game. If you don't want to do a shot-for-shot remake of something, then make a different game, okay? You think I'm mad, probably justifiably. Yes, I do. After all, do I really trust modern-day Kojima-less Konami to do something interesting and new with this classic? Not really, no. Again, see this right here? This is why we still read PC Gamer sometimes, because their writers still have even some degree of fucking sense. But the fact is that I have MGS3 sitting on my SSD right now, easy to access and ready to play. It's not a perfect version, though Konami seems relatively dedicated to fixing it up, right? But it's still an excellent game. Do I really need a dolled up but otherwise almost identical version? I do not. though I'm certain it's what most people who aren't me want. Yes, correct. That's the whole point of remakes, right? Do we really need them? No, of course not. But we want them. Sometimes we want them. And that's why it's so important for them to be done accurately. Because otherwise, you're just ruining something for no good reason. How many people do you think would have been more pleased if instead of doing to Final Fantasy VII what they did, if they'd just made a completely new Final Fantasy game? I know I would have liked that much more. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Anyway, the guy continues. Besides, parts of my demo were a joy even if they were familiar. That Metal Gear sense of playful experimentation is intact. You can still hold up enemies and by the magic of pointing your weapon at their head or their junk, force them to do little dances that produces loot. And you can still drop hornets on foes' heads or deploy tranquilized jungle creatures in combat. That's fucking great. After finishing the demo once, I even went back in to try shooting out all the ropes on the bridge across Dal Navono. Yes, it works, and yes, it makes the damn thing hilariously impossible for enemies and Snake to cross. Tragically, my attempt to spark a time paradox by assassinating a young Revolver Ocelot didn't work. The damn boy was invincible to my shotgun blast, but I'm almost certain that's a product of this being an early build of the game. God, that'd be so good. So, it's still the Metal Gear you love to play, but it's also in gameplay where the remake's slight mechanical differences from its ancestor make themselves known. Uh-oh. I knew it was sounded too good to be true. Okay, hit me. Where are you gonna fuck me up? Despite not using the Fox engine, it's all a bit more MGS5. Snake can crouch walk now. That sounds fine. Rather than having to shift fully between belly crawling and sprinting around, I could aim over Snake's shoulder with the left trigger rather than being forced to use iron sights to get off more precise shots. Never felt quite as fluid as MGS5 to me, but it's certainly smoother to play than the PS2 game. I never found myself having to contort my hand into bizarre shapes as I did in older games, to stand on my tippy toes while aiming down iron sights, nor did I ever get my close quarters combat buttons mixed up and accidentally slit a hostage's throat like I did in Days of Yore. I'm sure we all have done that kind of shit 1,000 times. I know I have. This game now helpfully flashes up prompts to tell you which buttons are interrogate, knock out, and kill when you grab a bad guy. Again, that sounds fine. Little bit of a quality of life thing. I don't see how that's changing anything really. Seems okay. Other systems like the survival viewer are analogous and parallel to their appearance in the original game. Good? Good. The same. They're the same. You still have to decide which weapons and items go in your quick select and which stay in your backpack, and the more you have easily available, the quicker your stamina goes down, and you can still pop into the camouflage section to change your clothing and face paint to blend into the jungle. Perfect. Good. Only difference I could spot was the addition of a couple of quality of life features. You can now hold up on the D-pad to quickly flick between a list of camo face paint presets. That sounds fine. I don't see how that's fucking anything up. Or hold a different button to get quick access to the codec frequencies. You can equip a compass in the left item menu to function as a quest marker, pointing you where to go to progress the story. Again, it's optional, it sounds like, so I think that's fine. The only bit of the survival viewer I didn't have access to was the injury cure system, but I'd be surprised if it was markedly different from the PS2 era. Yeah, I don't think you get that till the end of the Virtuous mission anyway, right? So there are some slight changes, but it's still very, very much MGS3 mechanically, so much so that I regularly found my muscle memory defaulting to the game's old controller inputs with disastrous results. The full release of MGS Delta will let players use either the old gamepad control scheme, man, that's awesome. That's the kind of shit I like. Or a new one, but my demo restricted me only to the new one. Okay, that's alright. Does this mean I accidentally stood up when I wanted to lie down or did a dashing roll when I meant to switch to first-person view? Oh lord, we've all done that. Did that then trigger an enemy alert and force me to go hand-to-hand to tear through the jungle, putting like 100 KGB troops to sleep? The answers to those questions are sadly lost to time. Okay, yes it did. Right in front of the devs too. Mortifying. Yeah, I would have done that exact same fucking thing. Alright, so far so good. He closes out the article by saying, so I think Metal Gear Solid Delta is shaping up to be exactly what fans want from it. God, that is a relief after the disaster that we've been getting and hearing about Silent Hill 2. A ludicrously faithful retelling of one of the greatest games of all time with all the latest graphical bells and whistles and only the slightest touches to make it feel a bit more playable for the Zoomers and Gen Alphas out there who might balk at the zanier elements of the classic control scheme. Like, the first half of that is pretty much verbatim what I want when anyone says they're going to do a remake. A ludicrously faithful retelling of one of the greatest games of all time, with just the latest graphical bells and whistles and only the lightest of touches to make it a bit more playable. That's it. Perfect. If that's how they're describing the MGS3 remake, I think we might be okay. I know. It terrifies me to say that as well, but it really... I mean, shit, you guys, we went through the Silent Hill 2 remake article last week, and that sounded like a disaster. This sounds like a dream come true. So, I mean, all caution, as we say, but shit, this might actually be good. Holy fuck. Now, to be clear, it is still Konami, so I'd be lying if I said there wasn't part of me that didn't sort of kind of expect them to pull an end run around us and totally ruin it in like the last fucking second. But what do you guys think? Has this article given you some hope? Dare to dream? Are you cautiously optimistic now, or is there nothing with the name Konami attached to it that could ever possibly get you excited again? Let us know in the comments down below, and we will see everyone next week. The bag is in your hands, Konami, as perhaps it always was. Nothing left to do now except wait for you to fuck it up.
Yup, woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out. Pass out. Huh? Woke up, what up, smoke up, blunt, then I'm back down. Back down. What? Yup, woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out. Pass